Their charges or propose aside to all. And our friend, she said that when we are going to use these harmonized barcodes, it may increase and promote equal education to all. This comes, okay, fine. We're going to have the equal education to the East African community. There will be no any development. We all have the same, we all have the same equal education of level. Tanzania, maybe we have a certain level of education. Kenya the same. Uganda the same. Burundi the same. There will be any development on that? There won't be totally at all. And one our friend there, she said that by using these harmonized barcodes, we're going to increase the economic integration. This comes back. Yes, when we're going to use these harmonized barcodes, she has said there will be improvement of economic integration. We all come back again. We all still have this economic. Take example about Kenya. The Kenya's economic, it is more high. And as Tanzania, our economic is low. Do you think there will be ready to wait for you, Tanzania, to have the high economic to be increased? That's or not. Do you think that these developed economic countries, they'll be ready to list their law that they could wait to the other the lowest country that they have low economic at all? Then to what be helped? That this says that to make that this harmonized state, it will must be not help. And when this our friend, she said, when we're going to use this harmonized barcodes to the East African community, we're going to make us like, we're going to use the same law that maybe she moved the example about the lawyer that she has trained in Tanzania, then going to separate in Congo, I don't know, in Kenya, she said. Yes, of course. Do you think that the developed countries, the ones that have knowledge, they have the high economic development and the knowledge, they'll be ready to receive the ones who have low, so they can lower the economic? That's all not at all, that won't be ready to be that least in all. And we say that this harmonized barcodes is not good and it is impossible to be used in the East African communities. Why? Because when we're going to use the harmonized barcodes, we are going to lower the sovereignty of our countries. We all understand what does it mean sovereignty. Sovereignty, this is the freedom of the country within it. Tanzania, we have our freedom. Kenya, Uganda, Burundi, they have their own freedom. Sovereignty means that the country, it is enough to make its laws and guide its own country, not depending on others' country. And also, when we're going to use these harmonized barcodes, there will be bias. How this? When we're going to use this, let's make the law that they regard the whole East African communities. Comes back. Normally, we all know and understand, Kenya, it's the developed country. Let me mean that when we're going to use this system of having the laws, the Kenya's laws are very different from Tanzania laws, Burundi laws, Kenya's laws. They won't be helped to develop and we may not lead to anything that will increase to all that you're most welcome for the PI. Yes, let me make it clear, my friend. I have come back to say sovereignty. Coming back to say sovereignty is a freedom that the country it has. Tell me that Tanzania should depend the laws of Kenya, Kenya should depend the laws of Burundi and the Kenya and Rwanda. That won't function. We need to have our own laws. Actually, we all have our own laws. We all have our economic. We all don't depend on others. And also when you're going to this harmonized barcodes, we depend on each other. You want to work hard that you find for your own country. You depend that we have almost countries using the same laws. Why should I do this? Why not this? I will depend on another country. We have the same. How that? We all that know Kenya is the developed one. You think Kenya to let the other countries make the law that maybe they will fail in the economic process? It won't. It will make the laws that it may hold under. And if to make the law that it all benefits on it, other countries will be suffering on it. And also, coming back to the example that our friend said, when you say that using harmonized barcodes, it may increase economic integration. Come back to the late John Pombe Magufuli. When those things they were traveling to come to Tanzania, and why he banned? Because the laws of Tanzania and the other country, they are mostly different. You think they could be the same? He could allow, but because we have our own freedom, we have our own stand on the light that we have to the main country that we are, we depend on it. That's why he refused on them to pass on them and to come across the boundary that we all have. Then if you have any more, POI. Then coming back, why this house supports, why this house is trying to call out to say that these harmonized barcodes should not try to come in the East African communities. Why this? Why do we try? Because we care about sovereignty. We all come back, we all turn around, but come back to the point that we all have sovereignty. This house believes that when we're going to have our own laws, each country in East African communities, we are going to hinder our own freedom at all. We have the freedom of doing anything, we have freedom on choosing something, freedom of making the law that we guard our own people, not other people's country. Not making laws that they make up in other countries, not making laws that someone in the country should see us. No, we make the country, we make the laws that it may try to guide, to help the countries that all people survive on it and guide on it. That's how I rest my case.
First, I'd like to rebut their points that are said, effective and promote regional integration. The South Sudan, they mainly use the Islamic laws. But how will you be able to charge their laws? Because some other countries in the East African community are using normal laws, but the South Sudan are using Islamic laws, and they'll have a hard time to cope with the other laws apart from their own laws. And also, standardization of education. There will be no improvement because you say that the Tanzania, Uganda, Kenya, and other East African community members will be able to study. They could not be able to move from other countries to go and study for other things because they already have the knowledge. But it will lead to no development because we as people need to exchange ideas, right? If a person has an idea from another country, you need to go and share so that even them, they would have to improve themselves. So it will lead to no improvement because they have the same thinking, the same knowledge on how to deal with things. And also, I like to, why there are other countries that are under Islamic law. So it will be very difficult for them to agree to use your laws. So it will be a misunderstanding between countries because you other countries, you need them to follow the same laws, right? But it will be a hard time to them to agree to you because they have already coped with their own system of laws. And also, let me rebuild our own points. Difference in ideology. Okay, ideology is a set of ideas guiding a certain group, right? For example, the East African community are from different history. Like Tanzania was led by Germany and later was led by Britain. Kenya was led by Britain, Uganda, Britain, and Rwanda and Burundi, Belgium. Do the history of Belgium and German, Britain, that will govern Tanzania, Burundi, Rwanda, are they the same? Belgium governed Burundi and Rwanda. So Rwanda and Burundi they coped with that system of the Belgian people. And as Tanzania, we coped with the German, and later we coped with the Britain. So it will lead to difference in ideology because they all have different thoughts. From maybe Kenya, yes, they say Kenya. Tanzania was first ruled by German. Maybe German people had a set of laws that we also copied, that the German people, they taught us maybe we should stop this. But in the Kenyan side, they say that no, we should do this because of the Britain laws. Then how would it really help? So it will bring a misunderstanding between them that will lead them to wars, lead them to misunderstanding, hatred among countries, and it will bring to poor development. And also, yes, I'd like to state again this point. Lowers the sovereignty. Back to the South Sudan people. As we all know, the South Sudan is the newly East African member, right? But East African country states, they have a goal that all of them should have the same harmonized, the same barcodes. But how will they really help? Because these South Sudan people are led by religious laws, and other countries are led by other laws. So it will lower the sovereignty of South Sudan, and they will not be able to express themselves in front of the government. They will not be able to express themselves in front of the East African member states. So it really bring them to have a cohesion and misunderstanding to the East African community member states, and also it will bring the South Sudan people to lead to hatred among the other countries, and also economic integration. Kenya has a large economic than Tanzania, Uganda, and other countries, because Kenya is leading with it, right? So as we look, the East African Community Council will read more focus to the Kenyans, because they will think that if we use Kenya as the country that has the highest, so it will bring more people and more development. So it will stop focusing on the low economics and economical countries that are very low, and will start to focus on the high, like Kenya. So it will bring a really cohesion to other countries, that they'll feel bad and start to have different misunderstanding between the member states, have different misunderstanding between the Council of the East African Community. So it will lead again to the collapse of the East African Community. So what they have to do is really to go against it, because it will lead to the collapse of the East African Community Council, while we don't even want that anymore. And also leads to bias. Yes, it leads to bias, because some countries have high development, so the EAC will mostly concentrate to the countries which have the high development. So if it leads to bias, the lower countries will have no time to express themselves, and this will lead to bias to the other countries. With further ado, I rest my case. Thank you.
Once again, the judges and the person for the slide. I want to say that this debate is ours due to the following reason. First, by starting to the side that the thing that they said about education, that they say that they are not talking about the education of the class. It's the education of outside, how will it be able to cross across the borders. Now I want to say that, will the education be able to cross different countries in East Africa, while our perspective and yours, they are very totally and very different from yours? That is, we won't be able for these countries to collaborate and have the very same harmonized purpose to rule their country. Let's take example to the Kenyan. There are some parts of the Kenyan that they believe the use of marijuana, this gives them power to work very strongly. Now comes to Tanzania. Is marijuana allowed? That is not allowed. So if we say that they do not judge that as the case, but us, we judge as the case. If you be caught with the marijuana, that it will be the case. Bringing that perspective to the Tanzania, that they have to establish the law that the use of marijuana, it should not be the case. Will they agree? That will be very difficult for the Tanzanians to agree, to establish that, to agree that the use of marijuana is allowed and is not the case. And I will reiterate our points. We say that it's difference in ideology. The harmonized barcodes cannot be established to the countries that they have different looks and perspective to different in political, economic, or civil rights. Let's talk in the political. The Kenyans, after the election of the leaders, they take some months, some days to look over the president, and they take 60 days to look over the president, that yes, this president now is allowed to be the president. But coming in is past, no any judgment that will take to pass through about the life story of the president that has this and this, that it will be not looked, but what they have, they look that the highest point is this, so this is the leader. So coming to that perspective, will the Kenyans agree that, because Kenyans, they say, if they look their leaders, that this leader is surely able to control our country, that he or she has his or her own properties and he can look direct. So they have to say that we have to look him so that we can look if he is able to control us. Thank you.
The government that you are depending on its own future, then you're gone. You are dead, you're gone. Believe me. I don't think if we have such that good voice that we should be singing to you every now and then the meaning of harmonized backwards. A harmonized backwards, that means it's a legal system that will create one legal structure for all East African countries, okay? You get me? That means we're not sharing any legal structure with any country in Africa. Instead, we'll make one structure. And according to the East African Article 47 of the Protocol and Article 22 of the Monetary Union Obligate, it allows the East African countries to come together with their national laws, rules, and procedures so as to facilitate and create one effective law. They have been coming here every now and then telling us that it will bring bias. I don't know, we'll focus in one country's law. We have got difference in economy, difference in law systems. Still, they didn't give us those law systems that are different in the country. They didn't. They are still trying that it will bring, we have different ideologies. I don't know, we are not depending on anybody's laws. But remember, a harmonized legal system. We create one system that will govern all countries in West Africa. We are not going to share any system with any East African country, or we are not going to pick one system. Like these people are going to sit together and they will create one system from the systems they have. Take an example of World Bank and IMF. The World Bank and IMF are joined by various countries in the world. You want to tell me that those countries have got the same economy? No. They don't have the same ideologies, they don't have the same laws, but they all follow the one law that is made to govern them. But also, just take an example of right now, you guys are participating in this competition. You all eat the same food, you're not coming from the same region or from the same clan, but you have all come with that one food. We as proposers have to take this debate because first, we gave you measures on how we are going to create this harmonized bar system. We thought that we standardize the curriculum so as to make it equal. But we also establish clear guidelines of certification so as to make everything clear to these countries. We'll also enhance the regional collaboration. We'll invest in infrastructures, but also facilitate the continuous professional development. We're not understanding what you meant by bringing the measures in front. From these measures, we're going to ensure that all this what they have stated is going to be remarked. But also, we have come with our precious strengths that we are well stood, well defined, and well defended by the board. We talked about the promotion of the regional integration, standardization of the legal education, and economic integration. But also, we told you about the improvement of the legal services in the country. And that was well defined and with statistics. But this case also came here, focusing only on South Sudan and Kenya in the statistics. Why? We gave them the overall view of the report of African trading report on how the East Africa is affected by this harmonized legal system. For that case, I'm just telling you that we have to take this debate because we all did our roles and we explain to them why we prefer the harmonized system. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much.